Okay, so last time we didn't finish the lecture about kids, so I wanted to finish up with that quickly. I'm especially disappointed because I really didn't care that much about Piaget as I did about the parenting style, so I'll be making some changes for next year. Anyway, so Bauman had these ideas that there are different types of parenting strategies. Who can tell me what the different types of parenting strategies are? Authoritarian? Authoritative? Neglectful? Permissive. Excellent. Very good. So we have authoritarian, authoritative, permissive, and also neglectful. This isn't Bauman, but it fits in with the parenting strategy, so I have it here. So what is an authoritarian parent like?
Strict rules.
Very strict. There's a saying in America, it's my way or the highway, which means like if you don't want to live by my rules, you need to get out of here. They're very strict. These are parents who might tell you like, you can't eat that. And what might they say if you ask them why? Why can't I eat that?
It's harmful.
There's even something that they might be more likely to say. Yes, because I said so, right? I said you don't eat it, that's why you don't eat it, right? I'm the authority here, you're the child, listen to me, right? So the caregiver is the side, and input from the child is ignored or punished. Oh, I don't want to do that, that's tough, you're going to do it anyway, because I said that you're going to do it. How about an authoritative parent?
They have also strict rules, but they are more democratic.
Yeah, some of them might have some very strict rules, but they're more democratic. So like an authoritarian parent might tell their kid, okay, you're wearing this today. You have to wear this. There's no questions. Whereas an authoritative parent might say, what do you want to wear today? And then the kid might say one thing that would be totally inappropriate, and then they might say, no, I don't think that's a good idea. Do you think it would be a good idea to wear these types of clothes today? Right? There's some discussion between the parent and the child. It's more democratic. And the input from the child is evaluated and considered. Or maybe instead of saying, you are wearing this today, here are two things, which would you prefer to wear? Where the kid has some input into the things that they're doing. If an authoritative parent was asked why by a child, what would an authoritative parent be more likely to say? Yeah, they'd be more likely to say, actually this is harmful, you don't want to eat this, it's too close to dinner. You don't want to eat this because it's unhealthy. You've already had some of this is too much. So they're being more respectful, the children. They're treating them more like peers. How about permissive parents? Lenient parents. Like what do they let their kids do?
They give them a lot of autonomy, a lot of freedom.
Yeah, so the permissive parents give their kids a ton of autonomy, a ton of freedom. So who decides what the kid's going to wear?
Kids.
The kid's going to decide what they want to wear. Have any of you guys seen the movie Big Daddy with Adam Sandler? I think they have that in the library here. You've seen it? So you've seen it. Okay. So what is Adam Sandler like in this movie? Yeah, ultimately it comes up to the kid's choice. So the kid's like, oh, I want to eat ice cream for breakfast. And Adam Sandler's like, well, okay, sure, here, have your ice cream. Some permissive parents will really go a long way in helping the kids do what they want, even if it might be something that the parents don't necessarily think is a good idea. Oh, you want to do this? Okay, sure. Just be careful when you're doing it. So the child primarily decides, and the parent supports the child's decision. This is different from the neglectful parent. What is the neglectful parent like? They don't care. So the kid is doing what the kid wants, but they're doing it without any support of the adult. So it's not like the kid says, oh, I want to play baseball, and the adult says, okay, I'm going to buy you a glove and I'll take you to the lesson. It's basically like, all right, you want to play baseball, you know, do whatever you want. You're on your own. You find a way to get there. You find a glove. You do all this. Where the kid is deciding, but the parent's really not around to help them. The parent really doesn't care so much about what the kid is doing. Different strategies could work better in different environments. there can be cultural reasons to prefer one of these strategies over another. My preferred strategy is authoritative. I like to think of myself as an authoritative parent. Remember when we talked about temperaments of babies? And we said some babies, they have like mixed temperaments. So I would like to say that I'm mostly authoritative, but some things I'm authoritarian. Like there are times when I say no, and I don't have the time to explain why. And I just say, no, do it, go, right? But I really like the authoritative parenting style. But I think there are some situations where an authoritarian style would be better. When might an authoritarian style of parenting be much better for the kid? Based on culture.
Taboos.
So maybe you don't want your kids to break any taboos, so you tell them, no, you're not going to do this. But you could do this as an authoritative parent. You could explain why they shouldn't do it, right? And engage with the kid.
When it's a kid, it's hard to understand why, especially taboos. It's mostly adults who understand why. For example, like, drinking and other stuff, the kid doesn't understand, why.
But they could understand why. The parents could tell them why. Right? So some parents don't talk to their kids about sex until they're much older. Other parents talk to their kids about sex when they're very young. So you could explain like why you don't just go around pulling down your pants, in front of strangers, and explain that when they're 3.
3?
Yeah. You could. I would argue that if you live in an authoritarian culture, if you live in a culture where questioning the authority is dangerous, having an authoritarian parent might be a good idea. Because if you have an authoritative parent who allows you to question the things that they do and they engage in dialogue, if you then question the things that your president is doing, or you question the things that the police are doing in the wrong type of culture, you could be sent away to prison or even killed. Does that make sense? So in a culture that's very, very authoritarian, it might be a good idea for the parents to be more authoritarian so the children learn that what the authority figure tells them, they had better do.
What about, for example, here in Turkey, in the West, there is some rules which are strict for girls. You cannot dance with a boy, it's strict. When you dance, you will kill.
So this is a very authoritarian type culture. But who is it that's killing the girls that are dancing? Is it the parents or is it the rest of the culture? It's the parents that are doing it. Did someone say both?
Both of them.
Okay, so most of the stories I have heard about have been instances where the parents have done it, but I certainly can imagine that other people are doing it too. I hear stories about in Saudi Arabia, like the moral police, the mullahs saying, "Oh no, you better cover your hair," right? And if you have grown up in an authoritative environment where you're like, "Why? I have a free right to choose. I'm an American citizen. I can do what I want. I'm independent." This could get you in a lot of trouble, right? Okay, so my thoughts on what kids need to learn. They need to learn how the world works. A lot of this they pick up by themselves, even without the parents doing anything. Just by playing, they learn a lot about how the world works. But they also need to learn about social relations, and the parents can be important for this. They need to figure out how they fit in the world. What is their purpose in the world? They need to learn how their actions affect the world. They need to learn self-control, and they need to learn some type of independence. So let's look quickly at how different parenting styles affect these things. So what do kids learn from authoritarian caregivers? Do they learn independence? Do they learn, so they don't learn much independence, right? Someone else is telling you what to eat, where to go, how to dress, how to behave. You're not making any decisions for yourself, so you wouldn't learn to be very independent, right? How about your self-esteem? How would you feel about your place in the world? Potentially less self-esteem, right? My input isn't valuable. But you could have more self-esteem than in some other situations, because even an authoritarian parent is interacting with their children. They're talking to them, they're laying down rules, right? So they are shown at least that they're valuable because the parents are spending time with them. How about an authoritative parent? What did kids learn from them?
More freedom.
They learn more independence, more questioning, more potentially self-control. So they have some control over their actions, but they can't do anything that they want. Right? They learn that some things are inappropriate. And they learn that they're important. Because their parent not only is willing to talk to them and tell them what to do and what not to do, but they're willing to discuss with them and explain why. Or maybe take input from the kids and allow them to do something different. How about permissive parents?
Totally committed.
Yeah, the kid, like, I can do whatever I want. What type of kids, do you guys know any kids who have had really permissive parents? What do these kids like often like?
Emos.
Emos? I don't know about emos.
They're like naughty kids.
They're naughty kids. They're spoiled kids. Oh, mommy, I want this toy. Oh, okay, here you go. Oh, mommy, I want to like roll around in the mud. Oh, okay, that's fine, whatever. So they like, you know, they learn very little self-control. Whereas they're learning a ton of self-control here. A lot, I would argue, here. They're really not learning the self-control as much with the permissive parents. Although they might think that they're important. Yeah, my dad will buy me anything I want. I can just tell Dad whatever and he'll do it for me. Yes?
Question. Does it cause really independence? Because if the children have anything from their parents that they want and they do, but in the outside they want and people don't do.
That's an excellent, excellent point. If you guys didn't hear her, she said, but do they really learn independence? Because they're not so much independent. They say they want to do something and then the parents like help them to do it. So I would argue that they're definitely independent as far as like sort of deciding what they want to do, maybe not so independent in the other ways. And if we talk about my thoughts on what kids need to learn, how the world works and how they fit in the world, these kids are going to have a huge surprise unless they're rich. If they're rich and they can continue doing whatever they want, I think of like people like Paris Hilton. Whatever I want, I can do it. She doesn't have to rely on anyone else because she is independently wealthy, right? But if you have parents that let you do basically anything and then you grow up and join the real world and you learn that you can't do anything, this is a difficult thing. So I think it depends sort of on how we would operationalize independence. I think it's an excellent point. Neglectful. What do these kids learn from their parents? They become very independent. Right? They make their own decisions. They have to do the things to carry out their decisions. This could be good or bad because they could do some things that maybe aren't a good societal fit. But it can also be good in the sense that they really learn how to do things for themselves. All right, but as far as how they feel about where they fit in the world, the parents, their primary caregivers, basically teach them that they're worthless. They're not worth the time to spend on. All right, other parenting styles. Concerted cultivation and slow parenting. What are these? So concerted cultivator. Cultivate comes from agriculture, right? You cultivate soil. You rake the soil, then you put the seeds in, then you water it, you trim things, yeah.
The parents do organize the stuff that the children will attend. For instance, sports, clubs, activities. They organize and the children attend.
So,
But children didn't think too much.
so in concerted cultivation, the parents have a lot of activities that the kids are doing. And this doesn't have to be necessarily authoritarian, where the parent says, you're taking music, you're taking baseball, you're taking dance, you're taking derslamming. Right? The kid could have some input. What do you want to do? Oh, I want to learn how to knit. Okay, you're going to do knitting. What else do you want to do? I want to learn how to play soccer. Okay, you're going to learn how to do that too. But the idea is that that you get kids involved in lots and lots of different activities, and this will make them a better, more well-rounded person. I can play music, I can do athletics, I'm good at homework, right? How about slow parenting?
The parents allow the children to organize their own activities.
The parents allow the kids to organize a lot of their own activities. Now, this doesn't mean that they're permissive. This doesn't mean that you can do whatever you want. But it's an idea that kids should have time to be kids. So a lot of people complain like, oh, the kids, they grow up way too fast nowadays. I'm shocked, because the kids here in Turkey, my son was in first grade last year, and on the weekends, he would go to Dersline. He would go to this homework help center, right? And he would spend his time doing this. I'm thinking like, man, that sucks. In the States, on the weekend, like they're out playing and having a good time, and they're interacting with friends, and they're learning about social relationships and other things. So the slow parenting, the idea is not that the parents are neglecting their kids or allowing them to do anything, but they are letting them do some of the things that they want on their own time. So there's a particular educational style, the Montessori schools. Do you guys know about the Montessori schools? So my daughter is actually going to a Montessori school right now. And the idea with the Montessori school is that the kids basically pick what they want to do. They have lots and lots of educational activities. They can do music, they can do reading, they can do math, they can do painting, they can do gardening, they can do lots and lots of things. All educational things, but the kid gets to pick what they want. And when they're ready to learn how to read, that's when you'll help them learn how to read. Does that make sense? And there are benefits and negatives of both of these. So one of the negatives behind concerted cultivation is that the kid doesn't have a lot of time to explore for themselves things that they might be interested in. They don't have a lot of free time to develop their own independence. The slow parenting, on the other hand, even though the kids have more independence in the terms of deciding what they're going to be doing at any given time, they might not have the opportunity to participate in all these different activities. So there's some pros and cons of each. Self-esteem. These are feelings you have about yourself, your perceived value or worth. And it can vary. So some people think that they're stupid, they're idiot, I'm ugly. Other people think I'm smart, I'm beautiful, whatever. Some people might think that they're the smartest person in the world. I've met a lot of smart people, but I don't think I've met the smartest. Self-esteem is important. Self-esteem is correlated with happiness. How do you think it's correlated? People with higher self-esteem or lower self-esteem are happier? Yeah, people with higher self-esteem are happier. People with what type of self-esteem show more success? Higher. People with higher or lower self-esteem show more creativity. Higher. Where did I have success there twice? Well-being. Higher. So people with high feelings of self-esteem have a lot of good things that people want their kids to have. They're happy, they're successful. Great. But not only negative self-esteem can be bad, but super, super high self-esteem can be bad too. Like my self-esteem, when I bought the kid that present, I thought, wow, I'm the best gift giver in the world. Maybe I didn't think that much. But I was really excited, right? I was so pumped. And what happened when he got it? How did I feel? I felt really horrible. I felt so stupid. Because I thought I was way up here, but then I had evidence that showed I'm not really up there. I'm down here, or maybe even down here, right? And if I had approached this more realistically, I wouldn't have thought that I was up here. I would have been up here, and this wouldn't have been as negative of an experience for me. So it's not good to have unrealistically high or low self-esteem. So how do parents encourage positive self-esteem? They can model it. They can do things and show their kids that they have self-esteem, that they're worthwhile, that they're important. They can realistically reward effort and accomplishment. So there's a lot of debate in the States right now. Kids, they play like soccer and football and baseball, and lots of times every kid gets a trophy. Ah, you participated. Great job. Here's your trophy. You're important. And some people think that this is a good idea. Because you're saying, look, showed up, you're important. Mashallah. High self-esteem, right? But other people think that this is a really bad idea. Why?
Unrealistic.
It's unrealistic. When you get out into the real world, is your boss going to say, you showed up today. I'm glad. Your report was awful. We had to hire someone else to do it, but you're important and you can keep working here anyway. Right? This is unrealistic. So, there's a lot of people who think you should try to realistically reward effort. So, like I tell my kids, you know, I'm proud when you try hard. I don't tell them you're the best, you know, you're great. When they bring me their pictures and they're like, look, Daddy, I don't say, wow, that's the best picture I've ever seen, because it's not. I don't want to give them unrealistically high self-esteem, but I tell them things like, wow, this is a lot better than you were drawing 6 months ago. Wow, I really like how you're working so hard at drawing. You're really getting good, right? So I'm offering much more sort of realistic rewards. This whole idea that trying is all that matters, I think I was influenced by Star Wars, Yoda, right? He says, don't try, do. Okay, and unconditional acceptance. This is the idea that like you love your kids no matter what. And it's not necessarily that I love everything that you do, but you still love your kids. And if they do something wrong, so your kid steals something from a store, how do you deal with this with unconditional acceptance? How do lots of parents respond when they find out that their kids have stolen something or have failed an exam? Punishment. And they say like things like, you're stupid, you idiot. Man, you're such a bad kid. So what does this do? I'm a bad kid. My mom, who I love and think so much of, and have so much respect for, says I'm a bad kid. What is that going to do to their self-esteem? It's going to lower it, right? So what might be a better way? I mean, they need to learn that what they did was not right?
To explain
Yeah,
why it's not.
Yeah. Look, you did this. This is really, really wrong. You shouldn't have done this. I'm very disappointed. But I love you. Does that make sense? Because you're demonstrating that they're important, but that their actions have repercussions.
I think you can also say, I know you're better than this.
Yeah, I know you're better than this. So my son actually, sometimes he said, I'm bad. I'm going to hell. And I felt really bad. He was like 5 years old. And he had been acting naughty at school because he didn't understand the Turkish. He's doing much better now, but originally he had so much trouble. So he would get bored. And what would he do when he was bored? He would draw penises on the wall. He would like hit other kids. He would make faces at people, and he would get in trouble, right? So then he would tell me like, I'm a bad boy. I'm going to go to hell. And I would tell him, you did some bad things, but a lot of good people do bad things. You're not a bad boy just because you did a couple bad things, right? So I wanted him to know that what he's doing is wrong, but I don't want to crush his self-esteem. I also don't want to say, whatever, you're the best, you can do what you want. All right. So let's get into morality. This is actually a really interesting topic. In a previous institution that I taught at, I heard through the grapevine that some people really, some higher-ups really didn't like that I was teaching a class on morality. And they thought that this was really, really bad stuff. So this is very controversial. So get ready for the controversy. Okay, so morality, what is it?
Standards of what is considered good.
Yeah, it's ideas about what's good, what's bad, what's right, what's wrong. That's morality. So Google definition, principles concerning the distinction between right and wrong or good and bad behavior. What are ethics? Does anyone know? I'm not sure I put that on the study guide. They're related to morals. So ethics are how you apply these moral principles to your behavior. So if you believe that this is right, how do you treat people? So I believe that respecting people is a moral thing. So when I deal with students, even if I'm very angry with them, I try my best to be respectful. I don't always, do it. Sometimes I have a lapse and I feel really bad about things, but I try really hard. I try to apply this moral to my behavior and how I deal with students. So you fail, I'm not going to call you an idiot. I'm not going to treat you bad when I see you outside. I'll still treat you with respect. All right, so relatively moral relativism. Great. What is moral relativism?
Morals are not always the same.
Yeah, so it's the idea that morals can differ. So we have a lot of women in here who are wearing a hijab, bashutulu, right? Why? None of you guys have reasons? It's moral, right? This is something, a moral decision that you're making. And other people, they're not, right? So some people think that it's important for you to wear this and to be modest, and other people think that it really doesn't matter. Does that make sense? So there's differences between different people about what things are right and what things are wrong. We need to understand the environment in which a moral decision occurs and the person making them if we're going to try to understand the things that people are doing. Because people in other cultures do things that a lot of times disgust other people. How could they do that? That's totally immoral. What's wrong with them? So you need to have an understanding about what type of culture that they're coming from. These are actually baked goods, so these aren't like real feet. But this is, I think this is some bakery in China, and they like make heads and feet and torsos that they're made out of bread, and you can eat them for dinner. Why you would want to eat that for dinner, I don't know. Anyway, despite this idea that some people think that some things are wrong, like eating pork, a lot of you guys probably think that eating pork is wrong. I think that eating pork is the best thing in the world. Bacon! You guys have probably seen on the internet, there are all these people talking about bacon. Everything is better with bacon. Why doesn't everyone eat bacon? So, despite all of these differences in what might be right and what might be wrong, there's a lot of moral consensus. A lot of people agree that some things are wrong, like murder. Almost everyone agrees that murder is wrong. Who? Who thinks it's wrong? Society. Which societies? Religion? Which religions? Christians think murder is wrong. Muslims think murder is wrong. The British? Jewish think murder is wrong. The British think murder is wrong. Turks think murder is wrong. Atheists think murder is wrong. I think murder is wrong. My mom thinks murder is wrong. Even the Nazis think that murder is wrong. What? What? The Nazis? Didn't they murder a lot of people? I guess it depends on how you want to define murder, but they had rules. Don't murder people. So when they were killing the Jews, according to their ideas, this actually wasn't murder. Right? So if you look on Facebook, a lot of people are posting pro-Palestinian messages that are saying things like, oh, the Israelis are murdering the Palestinians. But the Israelis don't think that they're murdering the Palestinians. And you see other messages that talk about how these Palestinians are murdering Israelis. They're throwing bombs and rockets over. But do the Palestinians think that they're murdering the Israelis? No! But everyone agrees that murder is wrong. Well, not everyone. Almost everyone agrees. What constitutes murder is something different. So, why do we have this overwhelming consensus? Before we answer this, what makes something wrong? Let's talk about Kohlberg stages of moral development. what are Kohlberg stages of moral development? We have 3 of them.
Pre-conventional.
Pre-conventional? Conventional? Post-conventional. This is so easy to remember. Pre-conventional, conventional, post-conventional. So, what makes something wrong at a pre-conventional level? Did you say avoidance? If you receive punishment, then it's wrong. If you don't get punished, it's not wrong. So, what type of people demonstrate pre-conventional morality, Alice? Kids! Yeah! You tell them, don't eat a cookie, they eat a cookie, they have no problem with it. At a certain age, as they get a little bit older, they'll start having a problem with it. But they'll be, you know, no big deal. And they'll have cookie. Kids aren't very smart. They'll have crumbs all over their face, and their parent will come in and say, "Do you have cookie?" What do they say? No. How'd you get these crumbs on your face? I was moving the cookies, and it tipped over, and some of them fell on my face, and I have crumbs, but I didn't eat any. They're all back in the cookie jar, right? So pre-conventional kids have this. It's wrong if you get caught. And not just kids have this. A lot of criminals have this idea. There's a statement that crime doesn't pay. Whoa, crime doesn't pay. Don't do drugs. Don't sell drugs. Don't do these other things. Actually, crime pays very, very well. There's a reason that people do crimes. It's because they get paid for it. So, it's only wrong. Yeah, no big deal. I'm having a good time. Unless you get caught. Crap, crap. When I was in the Navy, I had a very pre-conventional thinking superior officer. And one day, we were going to get some uniform stuff. And you have hundreds and hundreds of people trying to get their uniforms at the same time. And it's very easy for people to make mistakes, because they're trying to deal with lots and lots of people. So every once in a while, someone will not get something that they should have gotten, and someone else might get an extra thing. So of course, if you didn't get something, you should say, "Hello, I didn't get something, can I please have it?" What should you do if you get an extra tie or an extra pair of pants? This guy was at a pre-conventional level of thinking, so he didn't say you should report it. Instead, what did he say?
Keep it for yourself.
Yeah, he said, keep it for yourself. You got 2. He said, be an American. You get something extra, take it. If they catch you, what do you say? Oh man, that was there? Oh, goosebumps, I had no idea. Here you go, no problem. This is very pre-conventional. Instead, you said, give it back. This is at least a conventional level of thinking. What's conventional morality?
According to social beliefs.
Yeah, so conventional morality is based on what your society tells you, what the laws state, maybe what your parents tell you, or your boss tells you, right? So society tells you, yeah, or religion tells you. So lots of religions say things like, don't steal. So you get an extra one, and this is, in a way, stealing if you take it. So your religion tells you not to steal. So if you hand it back thinking like, oh, my religion tells me I shouldn't do this, so I'm not going to do this, you're acting at a conventional level of morality. How about post-conventional?
Laws.
Universal.
I would argue not laws, I'm not sure what you said about judgment. Principles, whose principles?
Universal.
I don't know about universal principles.
The greater good.
Yes, that's what I'm looking for. The individual's principles. So the idea with post-conventional morality is that something is wrong because your principles have told you this. And absolutely, punishment, think about operant conditioning, may have influenced your ideas about the principles, and your society may have influenced your ideas about what's right or wrong. But ultimately, if you're thinking at a post-conventional level, you're saying that I am doing this because it's right, because I think it's right, for this, and this other reason that I have determined for myself. Yeah.
The way begin to judge society's beliefs in this level? Yeah.
Do they begin to judge, like people who are at a post-conventional level, might they disagree with the conventional level? Yeah, absolutely, all the time. There's a lot of fights, not necessarily physical fights, but a lot of intellectual fights that due to differences between conventional and post-conventional thinking. So, yeah.
Dr. Field, you know, he does not drink. So he doesn't say that, you know, the society drinks, so it's wrong, I should ask him not to drink. But he said, I believe it's not good for me, so I don't drink. So there is no conflict.
Yeah, that's a post-conventional level of thinking. If he said, look, I'm a Christian, and in the Bible it says that you shouldn't drink to excess, and this is why I don't drink, what type of thinking is that? That's conventional. But he's not saying, I'm not doing this because this thing told me to. He's saying, you know, I'm not doing this because I have my own thoughts on this. I know that alcohol can make you sick. I know that it can create stress and conflict. So I'm choosing not to have alcohol because I believe it's the right thing to do, as opposed to someone else told me that it's the right thing to do. So not everyone gets here. And even people that get here for some things will demonstrate other levels of development at some times. Okay, so what type of morals do you think this policeman thinks he should have? Conventional, that's exactly right. So this is from the Occupy Wall Street movement. There are some people who disagree with how the government is currently being run in America, and they're protesting. And this guy's higher-ups said they shouldn't be there. And they told these people, move. And they didn't move. So what is he doing? He's using pepper spray to get them to move. Why would he want to have them to have a conventional morality level? Well, if they say, well, this authority figure told me that I should move, what are they going to do? They'll move. It's right. Someone in higher authority than me told me to do this, so what they said is right. How about this guy, Assad? What type of level do you think he wants the Syrians to have? Post-conventional? Conventional. Do this, do that, do this, I said so. Right? I'm the authority. He's post-conventional. He's making the decisions for himself about what's right and what's wrong. But he's telling his people that they should behave in a conventional way. You stop these protests. It's wrong. So why is there so much conventional thinking?
To keep everything in place.
Conventional thinking is very, very stable. Conventional thinking helps society to move smoothly. Creates social stability. I know how to act, you know how to act, we're going to respect these guidelines, and we'll go through our day just fine. Right? No problems. Economic stability. Everyone's doing things according to the law. You've got a better economy. Peace! Woohoo! Yes?
Does that mean dictatorship is good?
Does that mean dictatorship is good?
Yes.
I think there could be one potential conclusion that someone could draw based on just this, right? If I'm going to tell you what to do and then everyone behaves in a certain way, I mean, this can be great. But the problem with dictatorship is that not everyone agrees with you and not everyone thinks that it's good. So how do you deal with those situations? And there are lots of times that dictators, even though they might say that they have their people's best interests at hand, lots of times they don't. They have their own best interests at hand.
Also, they can't be right always. They cannot be right always.
Well, some could be right always. I mean, there are lots of religions that say that this person was right all of the time. So, if, you know, it's possible that this dictator is right all of the time if you, you know, think stuff like that can happen. But if you don't, then yeah, I would agree with you. It can't be right always.
But it's about laws here. I mean, there's like this Congress or whatever you call it. It's the one who's making the law. You don't have to have a dictator to make a law.
No, that's true. But with, yeah, I think that's absolutely right. So even without a dictator, most of the thinking is at a conventional level. You follow the laws. A good example of this is stoplights, right? They tell you when to go and when to stop. And if you follow the convention, if you stop when you're supposed to and you go when you're supposed to, there are no accidents. It's only when people break the convention that you have these problems arise. Does that make sense? So, there's a lot of good stuff from conventional thinking. However, there's a lot of bad stuff too. Conventional thinking can lead to tons and tons of injustice. So humans enact unjust laws and fight unjust wars with good intentions. The Nazis killed lots of Jews and gypsies and gays and lots of these people with good intentions. We need to have a better society for our people. We need to make this world safe. How do we do that? Well, let's kill all the bad people, right? So conventional thinking led to this. Israel and Palestine, a lot of conventional thinking going on there too. Oh man, the Palestinians are a threat. What are we going to do? Let's put up some blockades. Okay, that's a good idea. Oh man, they miss out on these negative effects of some of their well-intentioned ideas. They can lead to people dying while they're waiting to get to a hospital because they're stuck in some blockade, right? So this conventional thinking can lead to lots and lots of problems. Where do these good intentions come from? Let's talk about Maslow's hierarchy. So what are the different levels of Maslow's hierarchy? Physiological needs, social needs, safety needs, esteem needs, yes, self-actualization needs. Excellent. So what are the physiological needs?
Air.
We need air, food, water, sleep. We need to go washroom. Survival, the things that you need to survive. How about safety needs?
Security.
Security. These you need to survive too, right? You need a safe place. Healthcare. Defense.
Salary.
How about social needs?
Communication.
You need to have friends. You need to have, I don't know necessarily about family, but you need a group of people. Or maybe even not a group of people. There are a lot of people who sort of live by themselves, but they have social needs met by animals. So they take care of cats or dogs or other things. But they're still getting some type of social contact where love is getting exchanged. If you have a dog and you've treated your dog well, you'll know how a dog can show affection and be social with you. How about esteem needs? These are needs that you have to feel good about yourself. And get respect from other people. Self-actualization.
Achieving your goals.
Yeah, achieving not just your goals, but like becoming the best William, or the best Allah, or the best Aisha that you can be. So these bottom ones are considered deficiency needs. If people don't have these needs met, they will do horrible, horrible things to meet them. The top one is considered a growth need. It's a need that you have to grow and develop to become the best that you can have. It's motivated by a desire to reach potential. So let's talk about how these needs could influence murder or killing. So there's a difference between murder and killing, right? So what did the Bible say in that verse?
Thou shalt not kill.
Thou shalt not kill. In different translations it says thou shalt not murder. The Quran, what did it say in the surah?
Life is
And don't kill the
Do not kill.
life is
person
sacred.
who Allah has forbidden.
Right, but there's like an ending on it, right? It's not just don't kill, it's like don't kill unless there's a really good reason to, right? So, what's the difference between murder and homicide? In what situations could I kill him without going to jail for murder? Self-defense. He's attacking me, he's trying to get my wallet, he's got a knife, and we're fighting, and I get the knife and I stab him and he dies. Whoa, self-defense, man. What if I just came up to him? That'd be okay? No, that'd be murder. Right? So, what things will drive people to kill?
Safety.
Safety needs. Let's talk about the bottom ones first. Physiological needs. Will people kill for physiological needs?
Yes.
You don't have food, Lots of times people won't kill to get food. They'll do other things to get food, like steal. But if they can't steal, the only way to get it is by killing. I'm guessing they're going to kill someone. Wars are started this way. One country says, we don't have enough resources for our people. Our people are starving. Those people over there, they have a lot of resources. Let's ask if they'll share. Would you guys please give us some food? Would you please share? They say no. And then these guys say, screw you! This is a resource war. Is this murder? Kind of. There's a justification that people say, and they'll say that the war is not murder. Yes, people are dying, but we're not murdering them. Right? How about safety needs? Someone comes after you, kill someone in self-defense. Social needs. Why would someone kill for social needs? There's songs about like, I die for you, yeah. Right?
Like if you don't have social contact, you are alone. You don't have problems.
If you don't have contact, but I would argue that killing people is not a good way to have contact if you don't have any. Because like you could have made a friend, but you killed him instead. I would argue that like things like peer pressure, right? Come on, man, do this. Yeah, you want to join the gang? Let's do it. So alliances and respect. So people in gangs kill people to become a gang member. So they gain the respect. They gain like this social family. One second. Esteem needs. Envy. Someone slept with my wife. Ugh, I'm angry. I feel envious. I'm going to kill that SOB. Right? Because I need to feel good about myself. I might kill my wife too. Ugh. I'm not going to do that. Lots of people do. And finally, self-actualization needs. Like, oh, let's become a better killer. I think some people actually want to do this. So in America, the U.S. Army used to recruit and say things like, be all that you can be. Join the Army. What does the Army do? It actually does a lot of good things, but one of the big things that it does is to kill people. So if you want to kill people, if you enjoy killing the people, and you just go out and start killing people, this is bad, you're going to go to jail. But if you join the Army, or the Marines, or the Navy, you might have opportunities to learn how to be a better killer and get a lot of killing done in a way that's considered socially appropriate. Yes, you have a question?
I would ask the honor killings, but I think self-esteem needs, right?
Yeah, so the honor killings. So my daughter did this thing. This brings me dishonor. This brings me shame. I'm going to kill her. I'm going to remove the shame from my family. Okay, let's stop here. We'll finish up the moral dilemmas next time and get on to evil.
I know this. From Stephen King's movie.
I don't think that's it, but it looks very similar to it.